from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Welcome to the news, live from the National News Studios. I'm Sharifah Tahir and tonight with me is Stefan De Alves. First off, we take a look at the headlines.
Nedungamuwe Raja, which had made colourful the Dalada procession for 17 years, it's on its final journey. The world oil price has recorded the highest figure in 13 years. The minister in charge says diesel will be made available as usual after 3 days. The Public Utilities Commission says that the power cuts will be reduced in the next few days. Sri Lanka's biggest cement factory has been declared open.
And on our top stories, the majestic tuscar which carried the sacred casket of relics at the Kandy Assala festival passed away at dawn today. The tuscar was 69 years old at the time of demise, and this was reported from Nadungamuwa, Gampaha. Baby elephant was a gift received by Neela Mahara Vedahamaduro from a rich individual in India. The Indian businessman was reported to have handed over the baby elephant with another baby elephant as a gift for treating him by the Vedahamaduro. The other elephant was Navam Raja, which died at the Gangarama Viharaya recently. The last owner of the tuscar was Harsha Dharmavijaya of Nadungamuwa. Father of Harsha Dharmavijaya, known as Dharmavijaya Vedamahattaya, was said to have purchased the majestic tuscar while staying at a sawmill in Horana. Thereafter, the majestic elephant was reared in Nadungamuwa, Gampaha. It had participated in a Dalada procession in Kandy for the first time in the year 2005. Nadungamuwe Raja, with extreme sober qualities, had never travelled in a vehicle. It has always travelled on foot to the Kandy Dalada Perehara, Sabaragamuwa Samandevala Perehara and Bellanvilla Perehara and many other Pereharas in the island. The majestic tuscar had always received special treatment from the people when he travelled on the road. The Raja was always given special police and security forces protection when travelling. The Nadungamuwe Raja was a prominent tuscar among several tuscar elephants who had the fortune to carry the casket of sacred relics. Raja was one of the biggest tuscar elephants among tamed Asian elephants. Nadungamuwe Raja carried the sacred casket in the Dalada Perehara, flanked by the other two tuscars, Indi Raja and Kataragama Vasana. Nadungamuwe Raja participated in last year's Dalada Perehara as well. The attention of many persons had been drawn on the manner how the tuscar had adjusted the pavada or the mat on the ground with its trunk at the final Randoli Maha Perehara. A large group was seen welcoming the majestic tuscar when it returned home after performing its duties at the Dalada Perehara last year. Raja had not shown any sign of sickness after consuming food yesterday. However, it reported to have passed away around 5:30 this morning in its sleep. Our correspondent says large groups were arriving since this morning to see the remains of Nadumgamwe Raja. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to declare Nadumgamwe Raja Hasti Raja as a national treasure. He has instructed the Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Professor Kapila Gunawardena, to take the necessary measures in this regard. The President has also informed to preserve the body of Nadumgamwe Raja for the viewing of future generations. The officials of the National Museum will be taking necessary measures for the preservation of the remains. The body was scheduled to be taken for preservation purposes upon performing religious observances at the Nadumgamwe residence this afternoon.
Rakimi divi eti tura Sasara digu maga vandanave Ekama petumaka hamu unave
We now move on to a global concern. World oil prices have hit a record high in 13 years and many market sources are discussing on this regard. So we have with us a senior journalist to give us an update, Mr. Prasad Dodangodage. A very good evening to you, and I'm sure you can give us an insight into this matter.
Yes, Sharifa. Yes, we saw a record spike for global crude oil prices today. During the trading, at one time, prices reached $139 mark per barrel. It was almost close to 140. That's why some media reports said world oil prices reached $140 per barrel. And later, at the end of the day, the prices were settled a little bit, and it was around $123 according to this chart, which is also a very high price if we consider the global situation. There were two scenarios behind this situation, Sharifa. One was fading away of hopes on talks to bring back Iranian oil into the global market to end the Iranian oil embargo. Number two, United States of America today announced that they are exploring the possibilities, and they are going to adopt that move. They are exploring the possibilities of halting or stopping Russian oil of reaching global market. That means they are going to impose an embargo on Russian oil. So, the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken later announced that they will consider this move unilaterally because their European partners, who are also now join hand with United States in imposing embargoes and sanctions on Russia due to Ukrainian war. However, the European partners are highly depending on Russian oil and gas. So initially, the United States of America will explore the possibilities of imposing an oil embargo on Russia. So with those two situations, the global oil market became really volatile today. But if we consider the data during the month of February, we saw a gradual hike of oil prices, mainly due to market issues, the supply issues, as well as the Ukrainian war. Now, if we analyze this situation a little bit, Sharifa, at the beginning of this year, that means on January 1st, 2022, price of a barrel of crude oil was $75. And 1 year ago, in March 2021, price of a crude oil barrel at the global market was 63 US dollars. So within 1 year, we could see a 100% gain of global oil prices, crude prices.
That is immense, isn't it?
Immense. And it's unbearable situation for the global, the economies and the countries around the world. So market analysts predict this situation could lead to a recession because it happened, if we go back to history, it happened in 1973 during the Gulf oil crisis. It happened in 1979 when the Iranian revolution took place, and it happened in 2008 and 1991 during first Gulf War, and 2008 during US economic crisis. So now with all these data, we could assume a major or the big global recession is at our doorstep.
Exactly. And I'm sure that we could have more updates with regards to this on the news later on. And thank you so much for this update, because it certainly is a concern not only in Sri Lanka, although we've been talking a lot about fuel shortages. This is a concern in the world over as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Prasad Thodangodage, for your update and valuable input. And with that, we're going to move on to the power cut crisis which we are going through right now. So it looks like we have some positive news. So it's over to Stefan to give us a better update on this.
Minister Awami League says that the general public will be able to receive fuel as usual after the next 3 days. The minister further says that the fuel crisis has been settled to some extent due to the issuing of oil to filling stations in the past 2 days.
Can be energy intensive.
Another oil ship with a consignment of 28,300 metric tons of oil has reached the Colombo harbour. Unloading of fuel from this ship is scheduled to commence tomorrow. Arrangements have also been made for the arrival of another ship laden with 25,000 tons of fuel required for the Ceylon Electricity Board. It has also been pointed out that several more ships carrying stocks of diesel, petrol and aircraft fuel are scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka from India after the 15th of this month. Minister Awami League said that distribution network has been performed in an appropriate manner in the past 2 days, paving the way to ease the fuel shortage in many parts of the island. The minister further said that 6,000 tons of fuel has already been handed over to the Ceylon Electricity Board. In addition, measures have been taken to supply fuel without any shortage the industrialists as well. The program is being implemented since the 5th of this month, according to the instructions given by the President and the Minister of Finance. Minister League further said that by now a somewhat problematic situation prevails only with regards to diesel. There is no problem related to petrol.
The
Public Utilities Commission says there is a possibility of minimizing power cutbacks in the next few days. The Commission says that required quantities of oil stocks are being received for power generation. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna requests to use sparingly the electricity as a prominent alternative to the power crisis. In order to set an example to the society in this connection, the Peramuna requests heads of all local government institutions to switch off street lamps as a power conservation measure from today till the 31st of this month. It also requests to implement any other power-saving methods available. The cement manufacturing facility of Lanka Sanstha Cement Corporation Private Limited, the largest cement factory in the country, located in the Magampura Lanka Industrial Zone, was inaugurated today. The ceremony was held under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The President and the Prime Minister who arrived at the venue also laid the foundation stone for the proposed new steel factory. The investment for the new steel plant, which will be built on 250 acres of land, is $400 million. The manufacturing process is scheduled to begin in late 2024. The President and the Prime Minister unveiled the plaque at the opening of the new cement factory and inspected the factory premises. The investment for the cement factory, which commenced construction in March 2020, was $100 million. Covering an area of 63 acres, it is one of the largest cement factories in the South Asian region. The factory has an annual production capacity of 4 million metric tons and will supply 2.8 million metric tons to the local market under the first phase, said the management. Conveyor belts are used to transport the raw materials between the port and the factory with the aim of ensuring high efficiency and reducing waste and pollution. And the factory has a fully automatic stacker, reclaimer yard and bridge-type ship unloader. This will enable the handling of goods using technology instead of labour, in line with international trends. Lanka Sanstha cement factory is also designed to manufacture all types of cement, including ordinary Portland, Portland composite and blended hydraulics. The manufacturing of the factory was inaugurated by the President. Addressing the gathering, Lanka Sanstha Cement Corporation Private Limited Chairman Ananda Aladekar said, with the expansion of the manufacturing of the factory, the demand for cement in the country can be met locally. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa pointed out that the Hambantota, which was an arid region, has gone through a complete transformation based on the long-term plans of the 5th Executive President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The minister said that as a result of the implementation of these plans, the youth of the area are looking forward to the future. The minister also pointed out the need for public officials to support and encourage investors. State Minister D.V. Chanaka said the government has undertaken the responsibility to produce everything the country needs locally and to take forward the country, which had one of the weakest economies in South Asia. So far, there are 14 investment zones in the country. The government expects to establish 11 new investment zones before the end of 2024. It will strengthen the local economy by boosting exports, Minister Chanaka said. Cabinet and state ministers, members of parliament, representatives of local government, institutions, government officials and officials in the Lanka Sanstha Cement Corporation were also present at the occasion. Schools have reopened today after the second 2021 GCE Advanced Level examination. The Ministry of Education says students should be summoned for academic activities subjected to restrictions. The groups which are not being brought to school should cover subjects in the syllabus according to alternate teaching methods. Classrooms with 20 students are able to perform on every day. However, classrooms with students numbering 21 to 40 should be divided into two and conducted 1 week after the other. Classrooms with more than 40 students should be divided into 3 equal sections. Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, says that academic and non-academic staff should report to duties as usual. Under the first stage of the evaluation of answer scripts, 580 centres in 36 schools have been utilised. As a result, 29 schools will be partially closed until the 12th of this month.
In the meantime, Director of Maternal and Child Health in Family Health Bureau, Dr. Chitramali De Silva, urged children, parents and teachers to obtain their necessary COVID-19 vaccines and adhere to respective health protective measures to prevent a further spread of the outbreak. Following the reopening of schools island-wide, she made these remarks while speaking to media today.
Today the schools were reopened after the GCE Advanced Level examination. We were able to conduct the GCE level examination in spite of the COVID epidemic situation without much disturbances. So that is a great effort, and all the children who were COVID positive were managed in hospitals throughout their examination period. Now the children and the parents and the teachers, all the school community has to get protected from the infection. So therefore they have to practice all health precautions, starting from wearing the mask, maintaining the physical distancing for 1 meter, and also practicing hand hygiene. So those are very important to prevent the infection. So I request all the teachers or the school authorities to see that children are adherent to these precautions. It's very difficult to control the children within the school, but they have to get protected from the disease, and also they should not take the disease from the school to the home and also from home to the school. So therefore, we have to ensure that all are protected. Children are getting the vaccination for COVID disease. So all children above 12 years are able to receive their vaccine within the school. So the medical officer of health will come to your school and give the vaccination within the school. And also parents should ensure that their children are protected with the vaccination. Also the parents, the teachers and the other non-academic staff of the school and also the staff who are involved in transport of school children should be able to get the booster dose of COVID vaccination and get them protected and also to protect their children within the school. So that is important for us to control the disease in the community. So therefore I request all of you to get the booster dose of vaccination and then protect our children within the school. If a child gets symptoms of a respiratory illness or having fever, they should not be sent to school and they should be kept at home, and also to get the advice from the medical officer of health if there is any suspicious case within the school, whom to be quarantined and whom to be returned to school. So that instructions will be given from the area MOH or the public health inspector, and school authorities have to follow the instructions given by them. So if we all get together and do this, we can protect children and also we can control the spread of the epidemic in this country.
Housing checks to 626 low-income families in the Hambantota district were presented at the Tangol Town Hall yesterday under the leadership of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Prime Minister has handed over housing and checks to 10 recipients, symbolizing the inauguration of the Obatageyak Ratatahetak Housing Aid Program. Under the program, each family will be provided 650,000 rupees for the construction of 588 new houses. Under the Mihindu Nivahana program, each of the 14 families has been provided with aid.
In the meantime, a peaceful protest questioning the role played by Sajith Premadasa during the period of the government of good governance was conducted in front of the head office of the Samagi Janabalavegya this morning. The agitators have inquired as to how many houses were constructed by Sajith Premadasa, who held a powerful ministerial portfolio during the regime of the good governance government. The protesters have also questioned Sajith Premadasa had done when the rupee value of a dollar had increased from 132 to 200 during the time he was holding a powerful cabinet.
Samagi Janabalavegya parliamentarian Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca says his party is not prepared to join hands with those who leave the government due to disappointment. The MP made these remarks after a public meeting in Ruanwala yesterday. Parliamentarian Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca said that the defectors throughout history were engaged in the practice of divorce and remarriage. The parliamentarian said they will not get caught in this trap. He added that they were a policy, Balavegya and a journey, adding that they have no time to pamper the dissatisfied persons. Some ministers who left the government were reported to have joined the former president. He recalled that the Good Governance government had also established a government with Maithripala Sirisena. He also said that they are not making the accusations. He also said that they must very intelligently look at the situation. The former president was not engaged in developing the country, deviating himself from politics. He added that therefore they do not want to talk about such people as it is a waste of time.
In the meantime, Minister Mahinda Ananda Aladekar says that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is a democratic leader who does not enjoy the privileges in the post of president. Participating in a media briefing today, he further said that under such circumstances, it is regrettable to find certain opposition groups conducting protests in front of his private official residence. Minister Ananda Aladekar said that the extent of the establishment of democracy in the country has been amply demonstrated by the fact of people conducting agitations in front of the official residence of the president. He added that a new political culture has been created in the country upon President Rajapaksa assuming duties in the post of president. The president is staying in his small private residence when he has the ability to reside in the president's mansion, spending a large amount of money. The president has only 3 vehicles to accompany him in travelling when he has the powers to use 25 such vehicles. When millions of rupees have been allocated for the president's office expenses, he is saving 1.5 billion rupees to the country by cutting expenses. Moving on to more news stories. This is with regards to the International Women's Day, which falls tomorrow. An intellectual dialogue organized in this connection was held at the Department of Government Information today. The theme of this year's celebrations is Equality of Genders for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Deputy Director General of Department of Manpower and Employment, Anusha Gokula Fernando, said that women were unable to gain equal opportunities due to numerous obstructions in society. She added that a change in attitudes is needed through education. The new concepts would enable to empower women. Senior DIG, Attorney at Law Ajit Rohan, said that the world's first women's administrator was created by Sri Lanka. That was the world's first female Prime Minister. He added that women are at a high level in jobs today. Now moving to some sports updates, and we have a report on a tragic death of a football team player of Sri Lanka, and also more updates with regards to boxing.
Funeral of Sri Lanka football team player Duxon Puslas, who died suddenly, was conducted in his home village in Mana today with the participation of a large number, including national football team players. Puslas' death was reported while participating in a Premier League football tournament in the Maldives. He was a frontline defensive player. Duxon has represented the national team for many years. The remains of 31-year-old player were brought to the island in the night of the 2nd of this month. Thereafter, the remains were kept at a private funeral parlour in Negombo. Thereafter, they were brought to Jaffna and later on carried to Mana. The final rites has taken place at the public cemetery in Thalai Mana Road in Mana.
Well, that's it on the news for you tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Together with Stefan, I'm Sharifa, wishing you a very pleasant night.